People are chatting about it. All right, let's get into the news. It's probably a secret underwater data center. Probably. All right, here's our news select for today, everybody. How China keeps North Korea's economy alive. Pyongyang relies on China for 95% of its legitimate trade. Hacking, arms deals, and remittances also help it to stay afloat. Like, look, I don't know if this is real. But I do know that it makes them sound cool as hell if it is. What do you mean the rogue communist nation is basically reenacting the movie Hackers from the 90s with Angelina Jolie in it? I'm supposed to not think that it's cool as hell? I'm supposed to not want to support the communist hackers of the Korean Peninsula? Like, I don't know if that's real or not, but if it is, I'm pretty into it. TBH. It's not upsetting to me. But you know, this is like when people try to pull out a gotcha and they're like, well, that one time North Korea stole a bunch of Volvos from Switzerland or something like that. And I'm like, but you love a heist movie. Make it make sense. But you loved Gone in 60 Seconds. We all loved that. Oh, it's suddenly not okay when North Korea does a little heist movie? They're not entitled to a little heist movie? But Nicolas Cage can do a heist movie. Racist. Racism. Just saying. Angelina Jolie with the twisties. Yeah, her fake white lady dreadlocks. I know. Yes. So, all right. Pyongyang relies on China for 95% of its legitimate trade. Hacking, arms deals, and remittances also help it stay afloat. Okay, so the wording on this is a little bit weird. 95% of its legitimate trade. We all know they can't do much trade because they are under a massive global blockade. So 95% of the trade it does, again, they're not able to do a ton. And also it's legitimate trade, implying that they are up to massive criminal enterprise, which I'm frankly just not that upset if they are. I don't know if that's true, but I don't really care either way. I don't give a fuck. Now, the other thing that's important here, though, is because North Korea is in this period of massive development, right? People are like, how? How are they doing that? Well, the same people who want you to believe China's not communist, that China's capitalist, the reason they want you to believe that is because they want you to look at all the success of China and say that's because of capitalism that happened. Well, we know that's not true. It's because of communism that happened. Communists did that in China, right? And communists did that just in a state capitalist model. Imagine what they're going to do in a socialist model, right? So the reason why then that we have to say Pyongyang looks like that, and I'll show, well, just for anybody not familiar, the reason why people have to have some opinions now about what's going on in Pyongyang is that Pyongyang is at a massive period of development and growth. This article is over 10 years old, actually. So this is an article from 10 years ago. This is what Pyongyang looked like 10 years ago. But it's gotten even more... Well, nobody's saying it here. Pyongyang 2026... images. Let's just look at some pictures. They've done basically all of this development. There's that new gaming center. Does anybody remember the name of the district? There might be photos in the Discord. That's true. New district gaming center. They're hiding. They're hiding all the good Pyongyang from us. They don't want us to know. NK Tech Lab. What's nktechlab.org? I've never heard of this one. But yeah, they've built the new gaming centers. They've got all the new stuff going on. They've got the whole new district happening. What is this district called? Hwasong District. Yes. It's so funny because I feel like this was all over the news and now you can't find it anywhere even when you're searching for it, which is wild. It's just getting buried. Yandex. Hwasong. Yes, Hwasong. Yes. Okay, so the massive development that's been going on there, they've been building tons of skyscrapers, tons of housing. They just built like tens of thousands of new housing opportunities for people. I mean, this looks beautiful. If you told me this was Brooklyn, I would be like, yeah, that looks like Brooklyn to me, right? They've got all sorts of new development going on. They're winning. Oh, you gotta type North Korea, not TPRK. New housing for soldiers. Oh, let's look at NPR even talked about it. Wow. Because they want to frame it all weird, though, right? Soldiers killed in the Russia-Ukraine war. They don't even show the buildings. The buildings were so cool. Why don't they show you anything? They just really don't want you to see what's going on in North Korea. You're not allowed to see it, I guess. Nobody's allowed to look at it. There's all these like beautiful like space-agey buildings. I feel like they were just like scrubbed off the internet. Right? Yeah, I really feel like they just got rid of these new pictures completely of this housing project and everything. It's crazy. They're only showing old pictures now. It was in the news everywhere for a few days. It's like in our old Twitch streams and everything. This looks pretty good though. This looks pretty nice. Okay, whatever the case, there's a lot of development going on. So, there's even better pictures of this lurking somewhere on the internet that for some reason we cannot find right now. But the basic premise is that DPRK is popping off. Pyongyang is looking bomb as hell. People are starting to call it Pyonghattan. And everybody's like, how are they doing this? Right? This is the main crux of this. Juche Vision is banned from busing, says Comrade Thuggin. Yeah, literally. Why are we not allowed to see the cool buildings anymore? Where did they go? I want to look one more time. I gotta look one more time. Because I really feel like they're doing it on purpose to us. Like, they hate us, and they don't want us to see the DPRK winning. They really don't want us to see them winning. I think North Korea looks so good right now. They had the new... here's one. Remember they had the new subway stations too? Like, look. Like, this looks very, very modern. Very, very modern. This is what's going on here. So all this stuff is happening. I do honestly feel like they are scrubbing it from the internet. I feel like they're like, oops. Yeah. You showed your wife some videos of Pyongyang, and she was like, that's just a city. Exactly. It's just a normal city. It's just a beautiful, normal city. It looks very, very nice. Like, I love this picture. This is some of the older buildings, but, like, that's really cool to me. But there are some photos that are really, really stunning, you know? Like, this is a stunning photo of the DPRK, of Pyongyang. The pastel buildings are so cute, yeah. Like, look at that. It's gorgeous. Like, how can you look at this and say this is a failing country? It's gorgeous. So, all this is happening, right? And the USA is in a massive cope. We're like, how do we explain this? So I think framing it like this, China is keeping North Korea's economy alive. Well, we've successfully done the psyop on everybody to say that China isn't communist. That China is actually, really, if you think about it, it's just capitalism. They stopped being communist, sorry. So capitalism is the reason why China's succeeding. And China's the reason North Korea is succeeding. So really, guys, don't worry. It's still all capitalism at the end of the day. And that's really the messaging here. So, like, don't get it twisted. This is exactly why this messaging is occurring, right? It's all propaganda. So they need us to believe that North Korea only looks like that picture we just showed, because capitalist China is doing capitalism with them. This is not true. We know China, Marxist-Leninist, doing textbook Marxist-Leninism, DPRK, Marxist-Leninist as well. This is communism. This is what communism does for people. So let's get into this story. North Korea runs one of the most bizarre economies on the planet. Well, that's what happens when you have a centrally planned economy and the world decides you're not allowed to trade with anybody. A very limited amount of trade. Despite being one of only a handful of nations with nuclear weapons, its 2024 gross domestic product was a paltry $26.6 billion US dollars. You know, again, a couple things here. When we talk about the GDP, a lot of things in communist societies, like, they don't register on general GDP factors. Like, when all your housing is free, when all your healthcare is free, when these aren't industries, this is going to affect your GDP as well. And that's worth pointing out, because these aren't industries that people profit from, etc. But on top of that, also, yeah, they also are cut off from most conventional trade with the world because of the UN blockade against them. Yeah, they're all GDP brained, and they can't realize that, like, communism has surpassed the need for the GDP to be that meaningful. Yeah, DPRK coast photos are beautiful. I'm hydrating. Yeah, they've been able to do so much while despite still being cut off from the rest of the world. So they're saying this is about 70 times smaller than South Korea's $1.86 trillion economy and about a fifth of the annual revenue of the world's top traded company, Nvidia. Now, again, this is the same people who try to, this is an old school thing. I don't know if you guys remember it, but for a while being a communist on the internet meant having to deal with a bunch of little capitalist teenage boys telling you to debunk the ECP. They were obsessed with this, the ECP being the economic calculation problem. And this always killed me because I'm like, the ECP only applies in capitalism. Like, that's not a thing that matters in communism. So let me look it up really fast so you guys can see. This is the same thing with this GDP thing. So the ECP is criticism of using a central economic planning system rather than a market-based mechanism for the allocation of production, blah, blah, blah. It comes from the 1920s. He talks about the nature of the price system under capitalism, describes how individual subjective values are translated into the objective information necessary for rational allocation of resources in society. He argues centrally planning necessarily leads to irrational and inefficient allocation of resources. And I don't know. So this whole thing, the ECP, a lot of it, what they're really talking about is like that under communism and socialism, you're not able to accurately gauge the value of things in relation to each other, right? So you like don't really know what materials have what value and what to use and how. And I don't really think that this is applicable to a communist or socialist system whatsoever, right? This is literally like chapter 1 of Capital. Marx pretty much debunks this. He doesn't have to do with much. So the same way, though, we look at what's going on over in the DPRK, and people are trying to use this capitalist economic lens to assess its success, which is the GDP. That's really not the way I don't think that the DPRK is thinking about their economy. They're not thinking, what's our GDP? They're thinking, can we afford, or do we have the means or resources to get everything we need for our people to survive, right? And that's a different approach to looking at the world. Now, also, because they are so cut off from the rest of the world, not by their choice, but by the rest of the world and the UN's choice with the blockade, it also affects their GDP anyway. They're not going to be able to do as much trade. So the fact that it's 70 times smaller than South Korea's capitalist $1.86 trillion economy, it's like, well, yeah, no shit. Think about all the things that contribute to the GDP in South Korea that wouldn't in the North anyway. Things like housing, healthcare, education, because those are privatized. So thanks to a centrally planned economy that prioritizes domestic production, again, no mention of the fact that they're under a fucking total blockade from the UN, near total blockade, that they're saying the centrally planned economy prioritizes domestic production. And of course it does to some degree, but it's like no mention of why this is uniquely necessary for the DPRK. That's weird. Yeah, the communist country is more concerned with material conditions than CEO salaries, Lord Oxima says shockingly. Like, yeah, exactly. Yeah, so also, the centrally planned economy that prioritizes domestic production, if they didn't prioritize domestic production, they would be dead. Like, they can't trade for anything. Like, what? And also, isn't that what Donald Trump's whole campaign was? That he was going to bring domestic production back to the United States? Don't capitalists think that's desirable? How is that suddenly a burn? North Korea is nowhere near as reliant on trade as your average free market economy. I wonder why. It's almost like you cut them off from trade with the rest of the world. Partly due to international sanctions, introduced by the UN in 2017 over its nuclear weapons and ballistic missiles program. I mean, we had sanctions against them long before 2017, but okay. The North's total imports and exports account for just a small fraction of GDP versus the South, where international trade makes up around 80% of the economy, according to the World Bank. Now, I just also want to point this out. When you point out that places like Cuba or places like North Korea don't have everything they need to live because they literally are living under a blockade and they're not allowed to trade for things, capitalists will be like, oh, so the communists need things from capitalist countries in order to survive? What a failure of communism. And, I always make the joke, how much shit around your house comes from China? Why do the capitalist countries need the communist oil? Like, hello. But more than that, it's like South Korea, 80% of the economy is coming from other countries. Nobody's like, well, South Korea can't survive on its own because capitalism is a failure, right? How does this fucking make sense? It's absolutely wild. So you could say that China plays an almost exclusive role in North Korea's minimal reliance on trade. There's other countries too, like Sweden actually does a pretty fair amount of trade with the DPRK. According to Washington-based think tank, the National Committee on Korea, dying to know what this is, dying to learn about this group. Pyongyang depends on China for up to 95% of total trade and 85% of its exports. Almost all imports also come from China. In 2024, North Korea's legitimate imports, I also love that they have to say legitimate imports because the illegitimate ones are apparently the hacking and the arms deals, the action movie stuff. Total just $2.3 billion, tiny by global standards. China's exports to North Korea, here we go. With no domestic oil production, these deliveries from China include petroleum and other fuels and are essential in keeping the economy functioning along with food, textiles, machinery, electronics, and vehicles. Now, I also want to say, you guys have probably seen a lot of people say that North Korea doesn't have power. When they have struggled with power issues in the past, just like Cuba, it's been because they're not allowed to import oil and they don't naturally have oil where they live. These kinds of things are just insane. So this gives Beijing enormous economic clout over North Korean leader Kim Jong-un. A recent report suggested that U.S. President Donald Trump is now trying to leverage that muscle to bring Pyongyang back to the negotiating table over its contentious nuclear weapons program. They're never getting out those nukes, and they should not give up those nukes. South Korea's Yonhap news agency reported recently that Chinese President Xi Jinping is expected to visit Pyongyang in the next few weeks, playing a key mediator role to help bridge the gap between Trump and Kim in the long-running dispute. Beijing is yet to confirm the trip. Okay, this is from 9 hours ago. I don't know. Maybe they're not going at all. Maybe South Korea just made that up. I don't know. So the rogue state's legitimate exports. I mean, just the propaganda here. The rogue state. They're crazy. They're going rogue. They're going to kill us all. Meanwhile, Israel is literally taking over every country nearby it. Israel just took over part of Lebanon. What? What the fuck? The United States is starting wars with everybody on the fucking planet and kidnapping their presidents. Somehow, North Korea, though, that's the rogue state. What the fuck is North Korea done? What the fuck is North Korea done to make them the rogue state? This is crazy. Legitimate exports, because most of their business we know is illegitimate. The insane rogue nation of North Korea who does illegitimate business is not that impressive. This is what we're supposed to take from this fucking sentence. It's crazy, sorry. According to the Korea Trade Investment Promotion Agency, North Korea's exports barely reached $360 million in 2024. Yeah, I fucking wonder why. These foreign sales are strikingly modest, with fake hair and wigs the country's only bestseller, making up around 40% of exports, primarily to China, which then re-exports them to the rest of the world. So all your wigs could come. They could be communist wigs, comrades. All your wig purchases could be DPRK commie wigs. North Korea turned to wigs for vital foreign income after sanctions blocked its traditional big exports like coal and minerals, while fake hair was not explicitly banned. They thought smart, right? They were like, what's not banned? Wigs. Fine. Fuck you. We'll make wigs then. Love that. Love that spirit. If they were capitalists, this would be called an entrepreneurial spirit. They saw a market opportunity and they seized it. But no, we're not allowed to say nice things about North Korea. So, you know. Wigs. Commie wigs. Will I wear wigs? I have some wigs. I don't love wearing them. They're very uncomfortable. When I had a shaved head, sometimes I would wear wigs. But, I can't keep... I'm too ADHD to maintain a wig. You know? They are itchy. So, we got the wigs coming in. The Communist Party also has an abundant supply of low-cost and often forced labor, perfect for a highly labor-intensive and low-tech business like wig making. All right, so wait, I want to talk about this actually, because I was talking to my partner about this. Forced labor. And this is when, you know, they talk to you about, when we talk about gulags, people are like, the labor camps, the forced labor. And I always point out, the United States, every single person has forced labor. Like, every single person in the United States, you can be forced to do labor. But what's also important to think about is, what does labor mean in the context of capitalism versus the context of like a worker state, right? Like socialism or communism. And the entire relationship you have with labor is shifted. So the reason why labor in a prison setting is so exploitative is because it's a privatized situation. First of all, you're making shit for Victoria's Secret, a private company whose owners, CEO, whatever, are making millions and millions and millions of dollars after you. Second of all, because you're in prison, they can pay you like 6 cents an hour or some shit like that, 21 cents an hour, depending on where you are. Very, very, very low, unsustainable wages. So there's, exploitation going on there. You're not making money off of it. You're being forced to labor so a few other guys can get rich. That money is not going back to your community. It's not helping you in any capacity or way whatsoever. Right? And the prisons are privatized. The prisons are privately owned, which means they are incentivized to lock more people up in prisons. They are incentivized to take away your freedom, to force you to work for whatever pennies per hour to make underwear for Victoria's Secret to make some other guy rich. So a rich guy catches you, locks you up, puts you in prison, forces you to do slave labor for another guy. That's our system. Now, when you think about labor in communism, all of the labor you do is going back into your community, right? Every type of labor you do is for your greater good. That's what's going on. The fact that we have for-profit prisons is fucking insane. So, if you're thinking about labor in any capacity under capitalism, it's exploitative. You're being exploited. You're literally being exploited in a prison, out of a prison. Prisoners are the most exploited laborers, probably amongst us. Prisoners and immigrant workers, right? They have their freedom taken from them, etc. But in a system of communism, socialism, labor has a different relationship with the community, with the whole, with society, a different social relationship, as Marx talked about. So, just working a normal job under communism or socialism, you're not being exploited, right? You're just doing labor that contributes to your community functioning, your society functioning, and helps everybody, including you. Labor in a prison system is therefore the same way in socialism or communism. So, doing forced labor while in prison, it's like, well, yeah, you just still have a job. And guess what? The fruits of your labor in that capacity are still going to benefit you, right? You get out of prison, you're still going to have a home, you're still going to have free healthcare, you're still going to have free food rations, you're still going to have free childcare. Like, you're still going to have all of these things. Your labor goes into the whole of the labor, right, going on in your community. And everybody's benefiting from it. So the idea of forced labor in a system of communism is actually not scary. And usually the shit they're doing, it's like community service, right? It's like planting flowers, gardening, growing food. Like, this stuff is not, like some evil fucking sinister thing most of the time. Some people, they did fucked up things, they get more fucked up jobs. But, whatever. So why then, first of all, do we call prisons in other countries that we don't like, our political enemies, why do we call them labor camps? Why don't we call American prisons labor camps? They're labor camps too. There are places where you go where you're not allowed to leave and you have to do labor. What's the difference? That's just a prison. That's just a prison. We either should be calling, here in the United States, these labor camps as well, or we should be calling them in other countries just prisons. And second of all, what is the relationship to the labor being done and the person doing it and all of society? That relationship is essential to us understanding why labor while you were incarcerated is a problem, right? Now imagine you're incarcerated, but you're allowed to do, under capitalism, your same normal job that you normally do, but you're still in prison, but you're still allowed to do that job. For the same pay, the same everything. Would the fact that you were working while you were in prison be the biggest issue with you being incarcerated? Probably not. It'd be your normal life, but you instead of going to your regular home, you got to go to this locked up place because you did a bad thing and you got to be kept from society or whatever. I mean, it's bad in that it's capitalist labor exploitation, but the average person living in that capitalist society would not think that was weird. The reason why even people who are not super class conscious, who don't super understand the relationship between labor and society, why they look at prison labor and they're like, oh, that is fucked up, is usually because you're making so little money and you're making these goods and services for corporations that are maximizing their profit off of you even more significantly. The relationship between exploitation, the exploitation of the owning class and the worker, is exemplified. It's like a magnifying glass is put on it in those moments, right? So that's the part that really becomes like illuminated with the whole labor component of it, right? And if you didn't have that element, if you were still making your normal wage and doing your normal job, whatever, somebody in the chat mentioned this, but it's like, yeah, we would focus more on the conditions of prisons being horrible, which we do, obviously. But also in our current system, no, when we say cops are modern day slave catchers, this is why. The contemporary prison system was introduced as slavery was outlawed in the United States, literally as a way for the rich owning class to be able to re-enslave people to work for them for free. And they even did programs where prisons would lease out prisoners to the very same plantations they used to be slaves on after slavery ostensibly had ended. So they found all these workarounds to continue to make minorities work for free for them or for very, very cheap. So that's the unique nature with labor in our prison system and how it manifests and why it's an issue. However, in the context of understanding, labor in a communist or socialist system, I have no problem with people under communism or socialism doing labor in prison. I don't have any problem with that, right? That's not weird to me. It's not any weirder to me than them doing labor outside of prison. Like, I don't understand why I'm supposed to be mad at that. So this idea that we call these communist places with prisons, we call their prisons labor camps, when it's like, well, the relationship between labor isn't any different because they're in prison or not in prison, right? It's not like all of a sudden in prison they're getting more exploited or something, because their entire relationship with pay, with wages being earned, with their quality of life, etc., being contingent on their labor, and in what ways, it's made totally different because of socialism, because of communism, right? What if they don't want to do labor? Well, you got to do labor to exist everywhere in society there. They have 0% unemployment rates in these places, right? So, it's interesting trying to explain this to people, that just like outside of prison, when in prison, the issue with the labor and the labor exploitation is who is profiting, right? And how that profit is being extracted and the nature of the work, right? So in communism or socialism, who is profiting? It's still the whole. It's still the benefit of society. Whether you have a job in prison or out of prison doesn't really make a difference either way, right? Does that make sense to everybody? Did I articulate that idea well enough? Yeah, you think most libs imagine labor camps like concentration camps or World War II? Yeah, or there's just like the guys with the pick on the rock for no reason. They're just pickaxing a rock over and over again until they die. Okay, all right. I'm glad that made sense. Because, yeah, I was trying to explain that to my partner. Because my partner still harbors some of that. And I think a lot of it comes from them with their family. They grew up kind of like, to their family being so USSR pilled. So it's interesting when we talk about it. Because I'm like, well, I think you're taking this relationship for granted and assuming that the relationship in a communist place between a person who's incarcerated doing labor and who earns the fruits of that labor, it's still them, because it's still socialized society, right? It's different than the relationship between the laborer in a capitalist country in a prison doing highly exploited labor for a capitalist earning class. As Kalti Moose says, yeah, the myth under capitalism is that you're free to quit your job, but you're not free to quit your job, and we know that because you will become homeless and you will die. Right? The difference is that in the DPRK, you are free to have a job. If you need a job, they will find you a job. Big Got-coded partner read Gulag Archipelago to be rebellious in their youth. I don't think so. I don't think they're that bad. I just joke they harbor anarchist tendencies. And sometimes when I bring them around my org, people in my org will say things about anarchists, but like nicely, but then look at my partner. And my partner will be like, does your whole org think I'm an anarchist? And I'm like, yeah. Yes, you harbor anarchist tendencies. I call it like I see it. And then my partner gets really embarrassed. And is like, I'm not an anarchist. I'm like, well, prove it. So it's funny. It's really, really funny. Okay, so let's get back into this. Sorry, this just really took me off with the forced labor and the wig making, whatever. So, they're sitting here saying, well, the DPRK can't do enough trade. Their whole trade is based on wig making. We know that the DPRK, they're able to provide housing, shelter, food, all these things for their people. The idea that the people who are making the wigs aren't profiting from the wigs being made in a meaningful and significant way is absolutely kooky. But the reason why this works on the Western mind is because in the United States, if a prisoner was forced to do wig making, low cost and forced labor wig making in a prison, they would get nothing out of it. They would get no free housing. They would get no free healthcare. They would get nothing out of it. And the left comms are like, well, communism isn't when no poverty or free healthcare or free housing. But sometimes it actually is, because sometimes that is quite literally how you see the profits of your labor redistributed in society in a way that's equitable for everybody, right? Especially if you're talking about Marx. What was Marx's goal? Marx's goal was to do away with wage payments and move into labor vouchers, and then ultimately not into labor vouchers at all. And in that situation, the pay you got for your work in society would literally be the functioning society around you, right? So this idea that you're divorcing, we obviously know that just introducing social welfare programs under capitalism is not socialism, but the idea that people profiting from their labor in socialism and communism through things that are given to them for free, ration books, for example, housing, etc., the idea that that is not them also receiving compensation in some form, in a socialized form, for the work that they put into society. I mean, it's anti-Marxist to think that way, right? So, low cost, what does low cost mean in a society where the goal is probably to move away from cash payments altogether, move into labor vouchers, and then ultimately maybe into no currency in the far, far, far off future? Forced labor, what does that mean in a society where everybody is expected to work? Perfect, they say, for a highly labor-intensive and low-tech business like weight-making. So just, wanted to put that perception shift in there. When these people get out of prison, if they're doing forced labor in prison, they're still going to have jobs. You're going to have a job no matter what you do in society, because you need to be a worker. You need to work to make society run, unless you cannot work, right? From each according to their ability, to each according to their need. And that's not scary. I think everybody who can work in society should work. I think you should work. I think that's great. So, other goods like tungsten and other ores, frozen fish, iron, and steel, and watch components each make up less than 10% of the country's exports. Since the sanctions were imposed, Pyongyang has lost roughly $2.2 billion annually in export revenue, according to the Korea Economic Institute of America think tank. Heck of a name. Korea Economic Institute of America think tank. Okay. So that, by their own measures, is 10% of their GDP. Right? Oh no, in 2024, North Korea's legitimate imports totaled $2.3 billion, and they're saying they've lost $2.2 billion in exports. So it's basically a 1-to-1. Oh no, their GDP is $26 billion. Okay, yeah. So roughly 10% of the GDP they're admitting has been affected by the export regulations alone. Just by exports. That doesn't even get into imports and how that affects them. So this section now is, how else does Pyongyang make money? Beyond its meager exports, North Korea generates significantly more hard currency through its shadow economy. Okay, spooky. Ooh, spooky. The country sends tens of thousands of workers overseas, many to Russia and China, to work in construction, logging, factories, and fisheries. The program is widely seen by human rights groups and the UN as another form of forced labor. The state, look, like, the idea of forced labor is so weird under the capitalist lens. First of all, do not we import here in the United States, where I live, in California in particular, migrant field workers from Mexico every single year? Doesn't our economy require underpaid immigrant laborers in our food farming in particular to make our society run? And this is the kind of thing that nobody's really talking about in connection with this. So it's one thing. So these kind of labor programs exist all over the world. You can literally get visas to do labor here in the United States. So this is something we do, definitely. And then the idea that forced labor exists. Well, if you, all labor is pretty much forced. Most labor is forced. Here in the United States, is forced by threat of homelessness and poverty. In communist places, it's forced because it's your duty. Your duty is to do labor for your community. We all do labor together. Yeah, we import workers daily in the United States. It's completely true. So, this is just weird. They make it sound scary, but then if you, apply even a second of logic to it, you're like, okay, wait, so some of their workers go work in other countries? Some of our workers go work in other countries. Fuck, my partner works for LAX Airport, just went to Canada for a few days and did work up in Canada. Right? Was that forced labor, exporting my partner to Canada for their job to do work? It's wild. It's just strange how everything gets twisted and made to be some sinister thing when it's not. They say the state then seizes most of their wages, generating around $500 million annually, according to the UN panel of experts. I mean, our state seizes our money via taxes and then doesn't even give us shit for it. Thousands of North Korean computer professionals also work remotely for the US, South Korean, and European Union-based companies, pretending to be legitimate freelancers using false and often stolen identities. Sounds like an us problem. Often they earn high salaries, which are then funneled back to the regime. Wording choice here. Very, very scary. In 2024, these loyalty remittances brought in $800 million for the state, according to U.S. Treasury Department. Again, we would just call these taxes if this was happening in any capitalist country. North Korea also operates one of the world's most sophisticated and lucrative hacking programs, prompting one U.S. think tank to label its cyber criminals the most dangerous state-sponsored threat to financial services sector. I don't know how real this is, but also if this is real, I'm not mad at it. In 2025, North Korean hackers stole a record $2 billion in cryptocurrency, representing over half of all global digital currency theft that year, the blockchain intelligence firm Chainalysis calculated. Now, we've also looked at these before, and we actually don't have proof that the DPRK did this. It was just people going off vibes. So I'm curious I opened the source to see if we actually know this, or if these people are just like what's this? It doesn't even give us a source. Chainalysis? Like, I'm pretty sure they were like, just maybe it is. Did they actually conclude it was them? This is from December 18th. They're just saying it, yes. But how do they know? I don't care if they do, but I just feel like, yeah, how do they know this? The whole point is that you don't know who it is. They don't say how they know this. They're just like, they did it. But like, where are they getting this from? We don't know where they're getting this from. Okay, they're just saying this. Oh, okay. Chainalysis does not guarantee or warrant the accuracy, completeness, timeliness, suitability, or validity of any of the information in this report. Okay, all right. So they just made it up, is what we're learning. They never say where they got it from. Anywhere who does say, they're like, well, we think. Okay. So the communist nation's biggest and most shadowy money spinner has been fueled by the war in Ukraine and Pyongyang's longstanding close ties with Moscow. North Korea has supplied Russia with millions of artillery shells, rockets, and ballistic missiles, boosting the Kremlin's war machine and earning Kim's regime, God, he's fucking crazy, an estimated $7 billion to $13.8 billion since 2023, according to South Korea's Institute for National Security Strategy. I'm just going to start referring to every capitalist country as a regime. I need to learn the leaders of every capitalist country so I can refer to it as their regime. Right? That's what I'm going to do. These revenues, according to Seoul-based intelligence officials, real unbiased I'm sure, are being used to accelerate the North's nuclear and ballistic missile program, as well as source additional oil and food from China. Okay, hell of an article. Very, very interesting article here. So, let's look into some of the things they linked. So first of all, they linked, I just wanted to learn about this. NCNK was one of their sources. The National Committee on North Korea, based in Washington, D.C., great, I'm sure that's great, about board of directors. We've got this guy, Frank David Austin, okay, 38 North, non-resident fellow, Stimson Center, and 38 North. So these guys then are affiliated with Stimson Center is the State Department. So this guy's from the State Department. And 38 North is a project of the Stimson Center. This is an anti-North Korean propaganda rag, this one, that's funded by the State Department, basically. So this is a project of the Stimson Center. Stimson, publication of the Stimson Center, 38 North, all about North Korea. And the Stimson Center, let's look up the North Korea doc. You can do the North Korea command if you want. There's a thing on it in here in 38 North. They get their funding from the State Department. So this is the Stimson Center think tank funding tracker. They received $1.6 million from the Pentagon and $9 million from the U.S. government. So this is, they also received money from NATO and South Korea. And here's the United States funding in particular. This breaks it, and the UN they received money from as well. So, they received all this money. The U.S. Department of Energy manages our nuclear weapons, $3.7 million from them, $1.8 million from the State Department, et cetera, et cetera. So when we go to this, their source in this article, their source, the one source they included that I could find, is the National Committee on North Korea, whose board of directors includes this guy who's paid by the State Department. So there we go. The headline for Julia. Oh, yeah, Julia. How China keeps North Korea's economy alive. Yep. 38 North. Of course, 38 North, right? Yeah. So that's what's going on there. Now, we've got this other thing they linked to. Why North Korea is the greatest state-sponsored threat to the financial services sector. Again, I don't know how real this is, but if it is real, they are making them sound based as hell. I'm sorry. If this was a group of anarchists out of Portland, Oregon, with names like Sock, who were furries by day, hackers by night, taking on the financial sector, we would think that was cool as hell. Alternative kids on TikTok would be making them fan edits. But no, the alternative kids on TikTok have forsaken their punk rock roots and have now just adopted the same foreign policy opinions as the fucking Stimson Center, apparently. So they will refuse to acknowledge how based this is, if true. Right? If you hear about a country doing something and you think, would the crowd go wild if this were white anarchist teenagers from Portland, Oregon doing the same thing? You know, you might be propagandized. If the answer is yes. I'm just saying. I think it's an important... Yes, Sock is going downtown to take on the financial sector. You want to come? Everybody would love that. That would become a new Occupy protest movement. Right? So, you know, I really think we need to get people to imagine these as punk rock teenage anarchists. Yeah, the financial services sector is fake. It is not real. Take it on by all means. So this article from 2022 that they're referencing says, North Korean hackers have become the most dangerous state-sponsored threat to the financial services sector. While other state-sponsored cyber adversaries of the United States and South Korea, such as Chinese and Russian actors, they got them all. Where's Iran? We're going to wait for Iran to show up. They got to get them all in there. Typically target government agencies and democratic institutions. Again, we have no democracy. We just spent this morning talking about the viability of candidates and how nobody's allowed to vote for who they want because we have no democracy. Pyongyang continues to devote a large portion of its cyber resources towards exploiting the global financial markets with a growing focus on cryptocurrency. Since the mid-'80s, Pyongyang has steadily increased its offensive cyber capabilities through domestic innovation and support from foreign actors, which has increased its ability to conduct destructive and disruptive cyber attacks. Are there DPRK hackers or is it just a myth? I'm not sure. My general take on this is I don't trust that it's real, but if it is real, I'm not mad. So it kind of doesn't matter to me, but it's interesting. I just think that they accidentally keep making North Korea sound really, really cool. And the example I gave earlier is like when everybody told us they stole a bunch of like Volvos from Sweden or something, like we were supposed to get mad at that. But to me, I'm just like, North Korea did like a cool car heist. Like I love car heist movies. Like why am I supposed to think it's not cool when North Korea does it? Like they did a car heist. Cool. So yeah, I also loved the movie Hackers growing up. I don't really think this isn't working on me. If they're trying to make propaganda designed to make me think North Korea is evil, car boosting hackers, that's making them seem cooler in my, you know what I mean? That's not, I don't have a problem with that. So, you know, they could do better. They could do better. DPRK intervenes. They intervene. They do a lot. They do what they can. But they only have one train and everybody pushes around. And then a bunch of stolen cars nobody's allowed to drive, apparently. Who knows? Yeah, they're constantly aura farming. Yeah. They're like, they're doing it. They're cool. We've got, what, like American flag, bald eagle aura. It's not cool. They have finance capital hackers who steal cars from Sweden. Like that is an Angelina Jolie movie. That's an Angelina Jolie. How am I not supposed to like that? I don't know. I don't really know what they're doing. They're pretty strict with regard to cybersecurity. I wouldn't be surprised if they have hackers. Yeah, I mean, maybe they do. It's not it's not making me hate them if true. So since the mid-'80s, Pyongyang has steadily increased its offensive cyber capabilities through domestic innovation and support from foreign actors, which has increased its ability to conduct destructive and disruptive cyber attacks. Okay, that's where we left off. While South Korean government agencies and researchers will likely remain major targets for North Korea, Pyongyang's appetite for cybercrime has grown beyond the Korean Peninsula in recent years, with financially motivated cyber operations targeting entities and institutions around the world. Okay, so the Pyongyang is exploiting vulnerabilities in financial institutions, foreign banks, cryptocurrency exchanges. One U.S. government, official U.S. government statements support the claim, as the U.S. Department of Justice has identified, I think this is a typo, North Korean hackers attempting to steal over $1.2 billion from banks in Vietnam, Bangladesh, Taiwan, Mexico, Malta, cryptocurrency haven, and various countries in Africa during this time frame. Okay, I don't know if I trust the U.S. government on that, but whatever. So this is what this article is talking about here. They're stealing Bitcoin from Bitcoin Bros. This isn't really a problem for me. They have an appetite for cybercrime. You know, I'm just, like, this is all I'm picturing when I'm reading those. Let me find it. I'm just picturing this. Like, this is them. Tell me I'm wrong. Yeah, it doesn't sound like a skill issue. Why is it so easy to rank? This is Kim Jong-un, right? Who's a cool lady in the Worker Party? Maybe somebody in the assembly. Oh, there was that list of the new assembly. They have more women elected to their government than they do in Malta, BT dubs. I do know that. Let's look it up. Let's find our equivalent. Let's find our little Angelina Jolie over there in the DPRK government. Show me. Okay, we are currently in the 15th Supreme People's Assembly. And here are all they have like 600, sorry, we're on a lot of Wikipedia today. It's just, I'm a little lazy. 687 members. They have a lot of people in their assembly. These are all of the elected results. There was this one list I found that had everybody with pictures, and it was really cute. But look at how many people are in their government. It's reminding me when I was in Cuba, and I'm like, fucking 10% of the island is in their government, basically, which is crazy. But yeah, this is like, where's like, maybe the source has it. Oh yeah, this is the actual party magazine, I think. Kim Yo-jong. Is that the daughter? Oh, no, it's not the daughter. Yeah, it's her. This is definitely her. But aren't they... She's so cute. I love her. She's so cool. I love her. It's not the daughter. It's not the little girl. This is adult. She grown up. The CIA is going to deploy the butcher of Pyongyang if the FBI keeps flopping with these propaganda pieces. I know. Yeah, the daughter is young. But this could be our Angelina Jolie. This could be her. I'd put her in there. She's our baddie. And in typical DPRK fashion, not hypersexualized, because women are not turned into weird commodities there. They're viewed as people. Shocking, I know. She's great, though. It's a sister. Yeah. It's a sister. She's cool. I love her. That's our version. You know, the alternative is that it's this. This is the other thing that comes to mind. Like... You're telling me this is going to basically, this is what I'm picturing. So you're telling me North Korea is hacking into capitalists' banks and stealing money and cryptocurrency from crypto bros and also stealing cars. And yeah, so I'm picturing this. I'm not mad. That's all. I'm not mad. I'm like, yeah, hell yeah. Get in there. You get in there. You wouldn't download a stolen car. Well... North Korea might, and I'm not mad if that's true. I don't know. Oh, no, you're right, Julia. People talk about the daughter's looks all the time. People are weird as hell about the daughter. also about Kim Jong-un's daughter. And they call her all these, like, I think the thing is this. Because they want to paint her as evil, just because she's a member of this family, I don't even know. They need to paint her as evil. They need to adultify her. So part of adultifying her is, like, talking about her like she's a grown-up, you know? And that involves picking apart her appearance in different ways, and then also making her out to be, like, scary. So I think you're right. People are really, really weird about her. Yeah, like, that is a child. Yeah, that's a child. Yeah, they do act like she's training to be a criminal mastermind. But again, maybe I am the problem. Because if someone was like, Kim Jong-un's teenage daughter is hacking crypto bros in Malta, I'd be like, that little kid's based as hell. That little kid's going off. But, you know, so maybe I'm the problem. It is also racism. It is. I think it also has to do with, like, the general infantilization of Asian women. So they see an Asian child, and they're like, that's the same. Like, I think it's just fucking weird. People are just weirdos. Yeah, she's a cute little girl who shows up with her dad to work sometimes. That's it. It's also the West sees teenagers. That's true. We hyper-adultify teenagers all the time. Yeah, future headline. The Princess of Pyongyang is nuclear button happy. Exactly. That's a kid. The most dangerous woman on earth, and it's a child. Yeah. You had lib friends making jokes about her. It was great to tell the vibes. Yeah. It's a little kid. Yeah. The pictures of them are very, very sweet. Hey, look. Also, I'm just going to say, George W. Bush was afraid of me when I was a child. That is true. He was terrified of me when I was a child. So, who knows? Yeah, they are. They're manufacturing consent to murder her. Exactly, Julia. Yeah. I also think that, like, U.S. military bases are usually hotspots for sex tourism. Usually white, Western, non-military men travel there. Yeah. I did not throw shoes at him. I was generally just very confused. I was, like, 12. And I was like, what's happening? Bush. It is. It's very weird. It's also very weird because it's, like, not normal for my family. Like, we're not people, you know, like, my grandma, my dad, and I, and my grandpa, I think we, like, all lived in, like, a 2-bedroom apartment together. You know what I mean? Like, we're not a moneyed people. So that was a big opportunity for me. But yeah, definitely, how Western media depicts Israeli soldiers versus Palestinian children. I mean, the same thing, you see people talk about Otto Warmbier, right? So Otto Warmbier, how old was Otto? He was an adult. Otto Warmbier was 21 years old when he went to the DPRK. I just fact-checked myself. He's just a little boy. He's a baby boy. Little baby innocent boy. But Kim Jong-un's child daughter is somehow the scariest woman on earth. Yeah, exactly. We can assassinate Fred Hampton at 21, right? Yeah, Otto Warmbier was 22 when he died, and he was there for a year. Interesting. Okay. Very fascinating. I know, the Otto Warmbier shit is crazy. All right, well, long story short, they want you to know that don't be fooled by the flashy, shiny pictures of North Korea looking beautiful and lovely. The only reason they were able to do that is because they got capitalism from China. and they're hacking Bitcoin millionaires. And you're supposed to be mad. You're supposed to believe China is capitalist. And you're supposed to be mad that Bitcoin bros are losing their money. I don't know. Yeah. Wild. Okay. So, we've got... How real is this article? I don't know about any of it. The only source it cited linked back to the Stimson Center, which is funded by the U.S. State Department. So, but again, I do want to say, I just, like, the whole thing they're trying to sell about North Korea being, like, evil cryptocurrency, they're just, like, basically trying to make them criminals. They're trying to give them you're a minority in the United States treatment, and just, like, anything comes from them being involved in criminal activity or something. But the examples of criminal activity they're giving are not upsetting to me at all. And if you think about, like, the fucked up shit the United States government has done, like, the CIA literally owned a bank. The CIA literally owned an airline. Like, the CIA stole so much money from so many people. They literally helped traffic drugs, like, all around the world. Like, these these ideas that the DPRK stealing cars and hacking banks would somehow be anywhere near as evil, if true, as what the United States has been up to around the globe since World War II, like, they're not landing it. The sales pitch isn't landing. I'm not getting sold. Like, what do you mean I'm supposed to hate these guys? Like, what do you mean I'm supposed to hate these guys? I don't hate these guys. I want to see a movie about it, if true. Show me a movie. That sounds fun. Right? Malrish. No audio, but win Pyongyang. Yeah, Pyongyang's winning. Yes. China's capitalist. DPRK is full of actors. Yeah. It's just, it's so crazy. I know, I like it when we read them too, but this is important to know, because like sometimes I get so upset, and I tell my partner, I'm like, I'm so mad, these people are just so willfully ignorant, and their ignorance is dangerous. It's not like their ignorance isn't dangerous. Their ignorance gets people harmed, it gets people killed. And my partner is like, you have to understand though, like, their reality is that these things are true. Their reality is that North Korea is inexplicably evil and like indiscriminately harming everybody all the time. That is true to them. And so it's a lot to break somebody's worldview, you know? I really do feel like we're making progress with DPRK. I also feel like we're making progress with Cuba. Yeah, also they're both full of hackers, as NeuroRiot says, but have no internet as well. Yeah. Yes. Very fascinating. Okay, we just read about Cambodia and Laos in the reading group. CIA literally became the #1 heroin refineries in the region. Yes. Yeah, and then they trafficked it through Air America. You guys are reading the William Blum book, right? I'm sure he talks about Air America in there. He must, but I don't remember exactly. It's been a while since I've read it. I believe that. Yeah, you're almost done. Cool. It's a great book. It's a really great book. He mentioned it briefly. Yeah. North Korea's Schrodinger's internet. So true. Oh my god. The head scratch feels so good. Just like Ukrainians don't care to ask, they're better off making progress in their own lives, essentially. Air America had a lot of cameos. Yeah, you'll hear it about... Oh my god, thank you for the gifted subs. Yay, thanks. Nice. Win. Okay, we've got a few minutes before we switch over to map. We got 4 minutes. The North Korea stuff was great recommendation. But remember, this is also anti-Chinese propaganda as well. Just remember that. It's also anti-Chinese propaganda because they want you to think that China is capitalist. That's also part of the subtle messaging here. LexD62 says, they're hackers with no electricity, no Wi-Fi, and they're only allowed a bad version of Linux. Exactly. And as Julia said, why is your shit so easy to hack then? The story's not adding up. The math's not mathing. All right. Should we get a map? Should we do map now? We could go to map 4 minutes early. I think we're allowed map. And then tomorrow we'll do a special feature and we'll go through the Ukraine document. Right? Yeah? I think it'll be good. The DPRK game? No, I didn't. I did not. What is it? I forgot if we decided we were going to try to do the islands or if we were going to try to do all the islands at the end and just scroll around the whole map looking for islands. What did we decide? We're going to do islands at the end? Teaching Tuesday. How do you perform research of these topics? So the first thing you need to know is once you start to get familiar with funding sources, things start to make a lot of sense. So I always recommend you start by just, when you see a story, look into all of its sources, where they're getting it from. Look for the primary source, right? Who the original place reporting this, and then look for who's paying for that, and that's important to know. And then once you start to know these things, try writing it down. I started by keeping a list when I was learning all the key players, and then I'd reference the list and be like, oh yeah, these people. So what I actually think is one of the most, before we move on, valuable parts about the North Korea document for anybody is actually, I have your things to learn, but there's a section to unlearn. There's a section to understand who is not trustworthy for you to listen to. And I actually consult this frequently with people to tell them when I'm like, well, that, is funded by these people. Do you really, are we really using this source? Because this source isn't very viable. And I think that this is, I started off with having a note version of this myself on my phone, and it helped me when I was learning about these things get a better understanding of propaganda and how it works. So, yeah, so I recommend that. Okay, let's get into the map. Okay, I kind of feel like we should do, oh my god, Northeast Wisconsin, Resistance Radio, hello, welcome, so cool. I've never been to Wisconsin, one of the 3 states I've never been to. I'm so jealous. Yay, yay. So I think let's do all the islands at the end, and let's do the big players first. So let's get all of these larger countries out of the way, and then we'll do all of the islands one day. We'll go around with like a different map to compare them all and be like, what's this, what's this, what's this? Because we missed them in the Americas too. Make a backup of the document. Somebody, had their huge resource list rated with reports, and Google's like, yeah, interesting. Okay, that's good. Good to know. Should I do it now? Let's see. Maybe I'll do it now really fast while I have you guys. Well, maybe not. I'll do it later. Oh, you could do PDFs. That's what you should do. Yeah. Everybody download PDF copies for us. We could rebuild them. I'm going to go to my own link tree. That's what I'm going to do. And I'll download a PDF copy of everything. Right now, as we speak, before we move on. Because otherwise I'll forget. You guys know? Yeah, my ADHD is so bad. My ADHD is so bad. I forget everything. Okay. Download PDF. This is great. Download. So easy. So easy to do. Wow, the Palestine-Israel one, that was a while back. I'm looking at them right now. I'm going through all of them. So this is the North Korea one. This is the Uyghurs. Somebody said I needed to make one about Taiwan and one about Tiananmen Square. This is one that's all just about government-funded propaganda. I need to add to it more, though. Oh, and then this is your guys's. So you guys have to do that one. Easy. AI voice. What's the AI voice? Was it me? Did I do the AI voice? I didn't even notice I did it. I'm changing my voice all the time. I forgot better voices than these people ever thought of. I've just basically become so self-conscious about how I talk. I don't even know how I'm supposed to talk anymore. I don't know. Resource doc. Back up. Saving. There we go. Done. We did it. Okay. Download. All right. That's fair. All right. I can have a weird voice as a treat. Okay. So let's get into it. Let's move into... Should we do Kazakhstan? I think Kazakhstan is what we should hit. Oh, Hype Chest on the way. Let's do it. Yeah, I think we got this all filled in. Okay, so let's go to our documents to learn about Kazakhstan. Well, we started going in order. We did the key players, it's... Now we have a process. Now we have this process we do. We got a whole little system. We have some things we start with. We get into the history. We look at current news. I would say Killing Hope is more dry, but all the chapters are so short that it's like, meh, I got through that. You know what I mean? We're in a hype train. Is there usually music? Okay, so Kazakhstan, not on the sanctions list. No military intervention. No U.S. bases. That makes more sense. Shanghai Cooperative Org. They abstained on the vote from the Russia withdrawal, and they voted yes on the Gaza ceasefire. All right. They are here in the SCO with Bahrain, Armenia, and Azerbaijan, Tajikistan, the Maldives, Afghanistan, Mongolia, Qatar, Kuwait. Okay. All right. Okay. That's, again, the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. And that's it. That's what we got. All right. So I'm inclined to think that they are Russia friendly still. Right? And we don't have them in here. They're not a special buddy of NATO. So let's look at the current news. Here we go. From the same source we just learned all about China and the DPRK from, they have something on how can Kazakhstan navigate ties with Russia and China. So this is the world's largest landlocked country. It's navigating a delicate geopolitical balance between Russia and China. I didn't know that they were the world's largest landlocked country. Fun fact, though, I did know that when people talk about the Holodomor, the famine in Ukraine in the 1930s, Kazakhstan also experienced that. And that's something that people leave out because it's not convenient for a political narrative that tries to claim Ukrainians were intentionally genocided by the USSR. But Kazakhstan also experienced that same famine. It was a naturally occurring famine in the area, and that included Kazakhstan. So historically tied to Moscow through the Soviet Union, it still depends on Russia for security and trade routes. At the same time, Beijing is expanding its influence through major infrastructure investments and the Belt and Road initiatives. Hi, Kobashi! Happy Pride! As the Ukraine war reshapes regional dynamics, Kazakhstan is pursuing multi-vector diplomacy to avoid over-reliance on either power while leveraging its strategic location and vast natural resources. Okay, that's it. That's that whole assessment. All right. Let's see what else we have. Now I'm just looking at like archaeological news. I'm like, oh, ooh, unique archaeological complex discovered. Cool. Okay, that doesn't help us politically though. No enemy, stronger army, Kazakhstan strategic bet. Okay, so the Diplomat is one of those sources that is like bad, obviously. It's like whatever, it's a stupid bullshit thing. But they publish interesting perspectives. So just like The Guardian is like normal, run-of-the-mill, kind of British lib shit, they do sometimes publish interesting perspectives. Their editorial range is has a little bit of a wider berth than traditional lib shit magazines, and the Diplomat's the same way. Sometimes you'll get something interesting out of the Diplomat similarly. So when you're looking at these kind of mainstream rags that are usually slop, these are the slightly better slop rags to me. The Diplomat's one of the slightly better slop rags, but it's still slop. Don't be misled. So, bye Kobashi! No enemy, stronger army, Kazakhstan strategic bet. Kazakhstan's military modernization efforts reflect an adaptive response to growing great power competition. All right. So when Kazakh President Kassym-Jomart Tokayev issued a strict 2-year deadline for the comprehensive modernization of his country's armed forces, it raised eyebrows across Eurasia. To some Russian defense analysts, an accelerated military overhaul seems unnecessary for a country with no active border disputes or immediate external kinetic threats. Conversely, Western observers interpreted these reforms as an attempt to safeguard the state against internal instability and potential Russian revisionism following the war in Ukraine. Others frame it as a step towards consolidating Kazakhstan's status as a middle power, portraying the modernization effort as a balancing strategy vis-a-vis Russia and China. Although such explanations may function as partial explanations, 2 key factors are particularly important for understanding Kazakhstan's broader strategic rationale: the changing character of modern warfare and the transition of the international system towards multipolarity, both of which are generating increasing strategic unpredictability. You know what? Council for Foreign Relations is also another one of those more interesting shitlib kind of perspectives. It's like gives you just a less conventional lens to talk about these through, but still through like modern bourgeois media lens, right? So, all right. Russia's invasion of Ukraine has brought dramatic technological changes to the conduct of modern warfare. A wide range of emerging technologies, including unmanned systems, precision-guided munitions, and AI-enabled surveillance, can now compensate for demographic and geographic constraints. I'm sleepy. Despite Russia's superior air force and conventional military capabilities, Ukraine has managed to conduct long-range drone strikes that have inflicted significant damage on Russian air bases deep inside Russian territory. According to some estimates, these attacks contributed to roughly a 25% reduction in the pre-invasion operational strength of the Russian aerospace forces. In 2025 alone, an estimated 4 out of every 5 Russian casualties were reportedly caused by Ukrainian drone operations, underscoring the growing centrality of unmanned systems in modern warfare. Thus, Kazakhstan appears to be adopting a layered approach, integrating unmanned systems into a broader framework of airspace control, mobility, and strategic autonomy. Given its vast territory, air mobility and rapid response remain equally critical. I really want to know, how big it is. They keep talking about its large size. How big is Kazakhstan? What? How does this work? This is not Kazakhstan. Give me Kazakhstan. No? Okay. What do we got? Looking. Is it like USA sized? It measures 1,800 miles east to west and 960 miles north to south. I think USA is 3,000 miles across. Okay, so it's a little bit smaller. So yeah, it's 2,800 miles the United States, and Kazakhstan is 1,800. So it's a little over half the size of the USA. That's interesting. Similar size to India. Okay, it is pretty large. Yeah, all right. So they're talking about Kazakhstan basically increasing its military, but we don't know for what. On May 15th, the informal summit of the Organization of Turkic States was convened in Turkestan, Kazakhstan, under the theme Artificial Intelligence and Digital Development. The Turkish president, Erdogan, visited the Alemdar AI Artificial Intelligence Center in Astana, signaling enhanced cooperation that may ultimately support Kazakhstan's drive for military digitalization. Interesting. And we all know Turkey is shifting alliances. So this probably speaks more to Turkey shifting alliances than it does for Kazakhstan shifting. It seems like Kazakhstan has been pretty consistently defiant, and Turkey is now joining. I wonder if it's worth saying that Kazakhstan is the resistance, though. You know? That's interesting to consider. I guess they're not active. Their military is growing, but it's not actively there yet. So defiant, but leaning towards resistance, it looks like. And Turkey's obviously shifting to meet them. Okay, so this is fascinating. We're talking about China's role. Major conflict in East Asia, particularly over Taiwan, could transform Kazakhstan's transport corridors and energy infrastructure into critical strategic assets. Disruption to the Strait of Malacca and other maritime choke points would force China to reroute high-value cargo and seek alternative energy supplies, sharply increasing demand for the Middle Corridor and other overland networks through Central Asia. Got it. Right now, notably, Kazakhstan's new military doctrine reflects this reality, explicitly acknowledging intensifying great power rivalry and the heightened risk of regional conflict. So it seems like they're really just wanting to defend themselves if shit gets real between Russia and the US, or China and the US. Or China and Taiwan. Also China. China and China. Xi Jinping has praised Kazakhstan for making important contributions to ensuring the stability of the global supply chain, which I think is interesting. So Kazakhstan's military modernization efforts reflect an adaptive response to growing great power competition. And they have established defense and tech-oriented partnerships with Turkey, Israel, Azerbaijan, the United States, and the EU. So they're playing every side. So maybe they're not. Well, but trade deals doesn't really mean anything. I'm so sorry. I'm so sleepy. Also, I realized that something crazy happened on our website yesterday, which is that our website, just for my job, was not able to accept any credit card payments all day. And I noticed at the end of the day, I was like, why haven't we sold anything all day? That's weird. And then I had to do a bunch of stuff to fix it. So we were running our last day of our sale, and a bunch of people tried to place orders. So I think today I'll have to re-extend our sale for 48 hours or something. And I'm like, oh my God, that's going to be so much work just because people weren't able to buy anything. Blech. Yeah, so I'm sleepy as well because I was dealing with that all night. I'm so sorry, I'm yawning up a storm. Okay, so this is interesting. So Kazakhstan's kind of playing all sides. So we don't know. My instinct was to put them as defiant, I think my instinct is still to put them as defiant. It's getting worse and worse. Yeah, I was up late figuring this out. Ugh, no, we don't use Chase. It's just like this. It's like 4 different companies that work together to accept credit card payments online. It's really annoying. You got to do like a credit card processor and then like a merchant services provider. It's like all this shit. I don't know. So Putin leaves Kazakhstan with empty rhetoric and panic over Armenia. This is from May 30th. This is recent as well. U.S. biolabs in Kazakhstan. Okay. Interesting. Let me put this down. Also, over the weekend, chat, I dyed a bunch of my old clothes. And now I want to wear them again. I just dyed them all black. And they were shitty dye jobs, which doesn't even matter. Now I'm wearing them all. Exactly. Credit card mafia. Yeah, exactly. Okay. Controversial biological... This is from 2023. Lab in Kazakhstan has caused concerns among local residents. The lab used to be controlled by the Soviet Union, but now it's funded and built by the U.S. Interesting. Studying deadly pathogens. Okay, so... They really are playing every side here. Oh my God, I'm so tired. I wish I could crawl back in bed, but I can't. I have to do my whole work day. Okay, Putin's recent diplomatic push into Central Asia yielded high-minded rhetoric but few substantive gains. As Kazakhstan resisted Kremlin pressure on trade and labor, foreign policy expert Paul Gobley told Kiev Post. Faced with limited returns in Astana, Putin dedicated a significant portion of his post-visit press conference to lecturing Armenia, a move Gogol described as a sign of Moscow's anxiety over its fading influence. Russia has warned Armenia that it could lose preferential fuel and energy arrangements if it continues its EU path. While the Moscow-led Eurasian Economic Union has raised the possibility of suspending Armenia over its European ambitions, we should change Armenia. We had Armenia as the resistance. We need an equivalent of cucked brat for the resistance people, right? Do you guys think? Like traitorous energy, you know? Like, and then like Armenia and Kazakhstan could have like traitor vibes. Capitulating. No, because divided means like there's like internal conflict. Folding. I think we need one more. I think we do. I think it's got to be some sort of like heinous coral color. Something, or like this, like beige. Like it become beige. You know? Just something so like, ugh. Why would you do that? And then I would put Armenia as that. And Kazakhstan as that. I know we have so many camps. But really it's just 2 camps. If you think about it, and varying degrees of camping. Like this would actually be like this probably. Right? Or it'd have to be a purple, because a purple is like a, who knows? So maybe be like this like pale ass purple. And it really is. It's still the 2 camps. It's just one more kind of shade of it. Okay, so edit legend. So this would be some sort of capitulation. It's camp scale, exactly. Folding, treason, sketchy. 3 camps. Don't forget Poland. God, I try all the time to forget Poland. Okay. What about... Oh, you want it to be expression. We can change the colors at the end. What do we call this? Traitor. I think it should be like treacherous energy, you know? I think that's what I'm going to call it for now. treacherous energy. That means they're like inclined to be more defiant, but they're being a little, we were all rooting for you. Yeah, maybe that's what we should call it. I think you're right. I think that's it. I like that. Yep, that's totally what it is. They're losing it. A new label. Okay, not sure if this will help, but it's recent. Let's get into it a little bit more. Armenia. Central Asian forgotten stakes in Iran, Israel, U.S. peace. Okay. For Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, Turkmenistan, and Uzbekistan, Iran is far from peripheral. It serves as a strategic gateway to global markets. Yes. Landlocked Central Asian states have invested heavily in securing access to Indian Ocean through Iranian territory and diversifying trade routes beyond Russian-controlled corridors and Chinese infrastructure. But the thing is, they are still in this camp. So we are still rooting for them. Because they're not fully sold yet. I'm going to get back to treacherous energy. Because it's not quite treacherous. Like, we just don't trust them. You know? I'm like, I don't trust you. Like, I wouldn't leave you at home with my dog. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's Khrushchev energy. Exactly. Yeah, we could tell them they have time to fix it. Exactly. Because they are, okay, so doing a lot of stuff in collaboration with Iran. No real wins for Russia and Kyrgyzstan. Kazakhstan's continued support for east-west trade routes that bypass Russia. These routes are increasingly important as Central Asian states seek direct access to European and Western markets without allowing Moscow to control regional transit. The migrant worker dispute. Another unfulfilled goal for Putin was securing a stable labor supply from Kazakhstan to help Russia deal with domestic manpower shortages. The Kremlin, according to Gobel, wanted to access a new wave of Kazakh migrant workers who could be more easily integrated than laborers from Uzbekistan, Kyrgyzstan, and Tajikistan. They did not get what they wanted, though. Moscow's interest in Kazakh labor, he added, is partly linguistic and cultural. Simply the case that Kazakhs are more likely to speak Russian than people from those other three countries. They're more likely to adapt to Russian realities. But Kazakhstan did not appear to give Moscow the commitment it wanted. Uh-oh. Treacherous energy. See? Hello, Nico Koke. Oh, yeah, the Pizza Hut Gorbachev ad? The United States is so fucking weird. Okay, I know it's not Kazakhstan, but I want to read Putin's Armenia obsession. Unable to secure major gains in Kazakhstan, Putin pivoted sharply during his final press conference, dedicated an unusual amount of time to Russia's deteriorating relationship with Armenia. Armenia was once considered one of Moscow's most dependable allies. It was, yes. Now under Prime Minister Nikol Pashinyan, Yerevan is reducing dependence on Russia, moving closer to the EU and seeking better ties with its neighbors. Well, that's sad. 5 years ago, if anyone asked what's the last country on the territory of the former Soviet space and Moscow will have influence over, the answer most people would have given was Belarus, but the second answer would have been Armenia. I think that's true. Russia was able to portray itself as Armenia's only defender against Turkish influence and actions by Azerbaijan. That relationship has now changed dramatically, though. There's a government in place in Armenia that is trying to get into the EU, that is moving towards the West, and has taken steps to reduce Russian influence. Interesting. Not happy, Armenia. System of a Down would not approve of this. Okay, fascinating. All right. So Kazakhstan is making its army stronger. It's playing every side. I really do think it's like, you know, let's see if they're talking to Donald Trump yet. What is this story a month ago? Oh my God, we have to know. It's like, you know, the thing is, I regard Donald Trump news not like it's serious news. Like the way you would regard like people talking about the season finale of a TV show you hate, you know? Where like I'm kind of interested, but like I already know I hate that TV show. So like how much do I care really? You know what I mean? Like I know I hate it. Oh, Mallory, she can hear us. Yay. Welcome. We've been doing MAP. We've been talking China, DPRK. We've been talking Kazakhstan. We added a new section of the map for Kazakhstan and Armenia. I think that treacherous is like they're still aligned with the pink, but like, you know, for like, or like purple. They're more a little purple. They're like the resistance's version of a cucked brat, right? They're trying to cuck themselves. They're actively cucking. The big beautiful obituary. I bet it's gonna come. Did a giant water source that was diverted? That's a good question. Okay, archive.ph is not loading. I really wanted to read this. Trump's son to take stake in Kazakh miner that won $1.6 billion U.S. backing. We'll look at it on Esquire, though. Do you think Esquire will make us sign up to read? No, they're letting us. Okay, cool. Let's look up the Kazakhstan water update. Water crisis. Maps. Maps. No, not maps. News. Sorry. I was like, map. Is it this, salinization or vanishing shorelines? There's a lot going on here. That's interesting. Okay, so hold on. Let me show you this. All right. There's nothing sketchy at all about the Trump boys' latest investments. The president's family sure seems to live in a universe of lucrative coincidences. Are these guys related to Donald Trump? Who are these men? Who are these men, chat? I know we have a single one. Wow, I'm losing my reach. I need to get more controversial immediately. These are his sons? Eric Trump and Don Jr. Okay. I don't know what anybody looks like, so I can't recognize people in photos. Okay. This is not what I thought they looked like, but that's fine. Eric Trump and Don Jr. Okay. I knew that. I know about the kids up to their little shenanigans. I did not think this is what they looked like. Okay. So our topic for Monday was tungsten, a metal that is the highest melting point and highest tensile strength at high temperatures of all elements on the table. And this was published May 4th, so about a month ago. It is vital to the manufacturing of mining equipment and armor-piercing projectiles. China is the world's leading producer of tungsten, but there's a lot of it in Kazakhstan too. Donald Trump Jr. and Eric Trump, yes, have a much lower tensile strength. Esquire, but they do have some solid brass ones. Wow, Esquire, they had fun with this. What if I only got my news from Esquire magazine from now on? And under them is a mother load of greed. What is this writing? Why am I vibing on it? Oh no, this is not helping my partner's case. I'm just a man. There's so many things on the Ned report. We didn't even get to the Ned report yet. Let's like. Okay. In countries such as Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan, citizens more openly questioned Russian influence and voiced solidarity with Ukraine. Oh yeah, we're all up in this. We're trying to lure them away. Hardcore. Okay, defending civic and political activism. Try to start a color revolution. Promoting news, analysis, and investigative journalism. Propaganda. Building capacity of election observers trying to steal elections, providing independent news analysis and investigations, propaganda, promoting civic and human rights education, propaganda, fostering youth civic and political engagement, color revolution. Color revolution. Oh no. How do I just get like one more? There. Because this is all Kazakhstan too, right? I think, is it all this? No. This can't be all of it. Wait, what? Spent $1.4 million in Kazakhstan? Oh yeah, we're in there. We are in there. Okay. We are like, give it to us. Give it to us. We want it. Can I go back like one page? Like page 118. I have to figure out how this fucking thing works. There we go. I got it. Okay. It's so much. countering online censorship, propaganda, defending human rights, propaganda, promoting civic activism, color revolution, providing independent political analysis, propaganda, promoting independent analysis of politics, propaganda, producing independent news, propaganda, providing legal support to defend human rights, propaganda, promoting civic, also color revolution, promoting civic engagement among youth, color revolution, strengthening networks of civil society leaders, color revolution, protecting internet freedom, propaganda, equipping civil society participation in decision making, color revolution, strengthening human rights literacy and civic engagement, color revolution. Wait, so Malraux, what was the largest one? There's so many things. This is crazy. We are trying to do this. It's no coincidence that they are treacherous energy. We are like, come treason with us, haha. Betray. So I think this one's the biggest. And it's all about literally making them hate Russia. So we are actively trying to get Kazakhstan to hate Russia. That's our goal. That's what we're up to. Okay. Crazy. All right. So we're luring them. We're like, this is like Ukraine 2010. This is Ukraine 2010 vibes for sure. Very, very interesting. 15K for legal support. Wow. I'm bored. Let's betray someone. That's them. Wow. Lawfare. On here? Lawfare? Okay, wait. Show me. Ah! Where's the 15,000? I don't see it. I'm also not looking at you, so you're probably telling me things and I can't see you. Ah! I'm lost. I'm lost in the sauce of the document. I don't see it. Interesting, though. Oh, 150K. The legal support fund is for lawyers to abuse legal support. Oh, I see. I see what you're saying. Yes. 150K. Okay. I was looking for the wrong number. I saw you now. Teehee. Let me Yeah, this is pretty crazy, honestly. Yeah, to defend fundamental freedoms and provide legal assistance, the organization will monitor civic threats, produce analytical reports, conduct international advocacy, and offer legal defense to citizens demanding transparency and adherence to rights and norms. Yeah, okay. All right. We're Ukraine and Kazakhstan. All right, we're Ukraine and Kazakhstan. So that's pretty wild. Wild of us, TBH. Very sad news. I wonder, we didn't do Armenia on here. Let's see if Armenia's, how much money we're spending there. 13. Oh yeah, that's why Armenia is doing this too. We're spending hella money in Armenia also. We're wooing them. I can't believe I told you we might not need to look at this, Malraux. Remind me to never not listen to you again. Armenia. Yeah. Yep. Look at all the spending we're doing in Armenia. Look, chat, can you see? This is Armenia. This is Armenia. This is Armenia. This is Armenia. So Armenia and Kazakhstan both have the same thing going on. And that's why they are both treacherous energy. And this is exactly what we saw happen in Ukraine starting in 2010. We did a little of it in 2003 leading up to the election, and then we won the election, and then we just kind of forgot about them. But then we came back in 2010 and hit them hard, and that's why we went, and we're going to talk about Ukraine tomorrow probably. For anybody who joined late, we decided we're going to do a special feature every Tuesday where we go through one of the resource documents from start to finish all together. So it exists as a standalone thing that's like on YouTube, whatever, that you can refer people to, that you can reference on your own, where we show everything, we read it together. Yeah. So Kazakhstan and Armenia are experiencing the same thing that happened in Ukraine, and now look, they are a cuck-maxed state. So not great. So, okay. This was very useful. All right, it's 12:02. I'm going to go put our website back up again. On sale again, anyway. Because of the error that I made. Tree Source Tuesday. Yeah, that's what we're going to do. Tree Source Tuesday. We're going to give it a shot. We're going to go through everything together. I'm not sure how much we'll be able to get through. Obviously, we won't be able to get through the books. So the books will just be like recommended addendum reading if you would like for these topics as we go through the resource docs. But everything else I think will be pretty cool to get through. All right. So I'm going to send you all to Larry. Thank you for a lovely Monday back. And I'll see you tomorrow, everyone. I'll miss you. I will miss you. False Fresno Friday. Treacherous Energy, Big Got Co. Just saying. Trotsky Energy. Did it go? Did it work? I'm not sure if it worked. Did my read work? Oh, it didn't work. Oh, I spelled it wrong. I typoed it. For real, for real. There we go. There we go. Happy Pride Month, everybody. Be gayer. Become a lesbian. They're more radical. I don't care if that's incompatible with your experience of gay. Fix it. We're all lesbians now, damn it. Okay, bye.